Dragon Ball Super is back. After 8 years of the Dragon Ball Super ending, 2 movies, and a separate anime series in between, we're finally moving forward with adapting the manga. Yesterday, January 24th, was the Genkidamatsuri, perhaps the biggest Dragon Ball event in our lifetime. It had several huge announcements, including games, anime, and more. So today, let's recap the biggest highlights of this amazing day. Obviously, the biggest news is that we're getting an adaptation of the Moro arc.
Dude, it's Moro!
The manga arc after the Broly movie. It was a huge surprise. There had been many rumors, but this was one I didn't think was coming just yet. It was already emotional thanks to an amazing animated manga video recapping Goku's adventures and Toriyama's gorgeous art, with a great score by Hans Zimmer of all people, whom you may know as the composer of The Lion King, The Dark Knight, and much more. The amazing animation then showed us Goku transforming from Super Saiyan all the way to Ultra Instinct, leading to a bunch of Toriyama's original Dragon Ball Super art, including some never-before-seen ones, like Gotenks and Kefla, and ending it all with the biggest surprise, Goku and Vegeta standing over the Galactic Patrol logo as they announced Dragon Ball Super, the Galactic Patrol, the Moro arc. I'm extremely excited for this, and what little we've seen looks gorgeous. This also means we'll be getting characters like Beerus and Moro in Dragon Ball video games. Legends, Sparking Zero, Xenoverse, it really is a new era for Dragon Ball now. I'm really excited to see how they approach them. We've had mods for ages, but seeing an official release is gonna be really cool. And I wonder if they're gonna stick to the manga colors, the official full-color manga colors, because I could see them changing them a little bit. Probably not for characters like Beerus and Moro, but 7-3 could look completely different for all I know. With the way they seem to be approaching this, more akin to a seasonal anime, I could honestly see it being split into 2 seasons, or them taking a break after Moro before tackling Granola. For now, we're still in material that we've seen in the manga for years, so I wonder where they'll take us once those arcs are covered. I do expect it to look good though. Unlike the original Dragon Ball Super anime, they're not gonna be against the clock every single week. They're taking the time to make it a good product. We obviously haven't seen too much of it. If the next announcement I'm going to be talking about is any indication, then those sound effects and visual effects are going to be amazing. The Moro arc is my favorite arc in the Dragon Ball Super manga, and I'm incredibly excited to see how it translates into animated form, though I thought it was a little weird that Toyotaro wasn't named in the poster. We know from several interviews that the Moro arc was mostly Toyotaro's idea, with Toriyama being more hands-off in comparison to other Super arcs, though it's not that big of a deal, I guess. I wonder exactly how it'll be adapted. It's a pretty long arc, and it seems like they're treating Dragon Ball as a seasonal anime now. Maybe they'll change a few things, since so far the Dragon Ball Super anime and the manga haven't exactly been one-to-one. Either way, I cannot believe this is happening. It really is the end of an era. We don't have to ask when Tupper anymore. There's still a ton we don't know about it, as it's still fairly early in its production from what I understand, but we will likely see something next year. But that's not the only Dragon Ball anime we're getting until then, as we've got something of a little bonus to hold us over. The biggest rumor prior to the event was the possibility of a Dragon Ball Super remake. It seemed crazy and not really needed, but after today, I kinda get it. They announced Dragon Ball Super Beerus, an enhanced version of the first arc of Super, to elevate the anime and make it more in line with Akira Toriyama's original vision and draft. To quote the website, this enhanced edition introduces a large volume of newly added and redrawn cuts, as well as a reconstructed narrative. With cutting-edge visual expression, the series delivers even more immersive battle scenes and more faithful representation of the original manga, bringing an enhanced edition to life like never before. It looks amazing, and the new cuts are beautiful, and even the reused animation from the original anime is extremely enhanced with better art direction and effects. One of my favorite bits is Vegeta's explosive transformation with some awesome impact frames, and how they showed so much for Goku vs Beerus at King Kai's planet, because that original episode is infamous and was widely mocked when the show first came out. I definitely understand people being a bit upset about this, but I think it's cool to have this as a bonus while we wait for Moro. As for why they're doing this, well, it was originally Toriyama's idea to readapt the movies in the first place, but he also complained heavily about the quality of the TV anime once it started going. It was just a really messy production, so I think now they have a chance to make everything a little more streamlined, especially if it's gonna lead to Moro. Beerus' voice actor, Koichi Yamadera, mentioned that he wanted to show Beerus as a multi-layered character, making him scary again, after seeing him as a hangry uncle for so long. Honestly, this feels a bit like Dragon Ball Super trying to be a little more mature than before, rebranding itself. Even the logo, which I think is amazing, feels more epic. Dragon Ball Super began in 2015. Battle of Gods was from 2013. This means that kids who grew up with these stories are 13 years older, and maybe Dragon Ball is trying to be a little bit more grown up with them, or at least trying to get along with Z. I still don't think we're gonna see much blood or anything, but it feels a little more serious. Even if it's going from 10-year-old family friendly to 13-year-old family friendly. It overall seems like they're trying to make it a more cohesive story. I wonder if this will end up being the ultimate version of Dragon Ball Super, with Anime AJ mentioning that it'll be 6 episodes, and that Resurrection F will follow soon after. I'm still a little bit conflicted about this, but it does look pretty cool. But let me know in the comments what you think. Do you want a remake of Dragon Ball Super? And if you don't think so, will you be watching it at all? I also noticed that they seem to be using sound effects from Dragon Ball Z instead of Super. That was always a complaint when the series was airing, that Super didn't have that oomph that the original anime did. Either way, it seems like a more cohesive story is about to be made. Reports say that it'll run for about 6 or 7 episodes, with the Golden Frieza arc following after, with around the same length. I'm sure that the other arcs will come later, with different subtitles like Frieza, Universe 6, Black, etc, etc. I don't see them getting all the way to the TOP before we get to Moro, so maybe some of those arcs will have to be sandwiched in between Moro and Granola, and things like that. I do wonder if they'll try to adapt Broly in a way, or Superhero, by adding stuff from the manga. I would especially love to see the Great Saiyaman X 1 and 2 arc. The staff clearly know the reputation had for its poor animation early on, and I believe they're treating this as something of a soft reboot, to fix things up and make this a better product overall. Akira Toriyama himself complained about the quality of the Super anime when it began airing, as he mentioned in the 30th anniversary book, so I do commend them for making an effort to better represent his legacy, as much as I wish that this was just done from the start. The next biggest announcement was the new Dragon Ball video game. Now this one is something I didn't expect at all. Its temporary title is Age 1000, and that already gives me a lot to talk about. We were surprised by a new character designed by Akira Toriyama, which was honestly kinda heartfelt. On stream, I was literally talking about how sad it was that we'd never get those surprise announcements again of a new Toriyama design. So it was really cool. Not crazy about the hair, but I really like the outfit. It's a Capsule Corp Great Saiyaman in-between thing. He has GS on the arm and a 7 on the other. The Great Saiyaman 7? The trailer shows us him fighting a simulation before someone steps into frame, with a bunch of flashes of past characters, landing on someone who looks like Goku, but he has a scarf on. People are debating who it really is, but I think it's just Goku. We don't know much else outside of the fact that Toriyama was also heavily involved in this game, and that it's been in development for 6 or 7 years. I've seen theories saying that this kid is a descendant of Bulma and Vegeta, perhaps a new president of Capsule Corp or something. The flashes of the heroes make me think that he's gaining those powers like a mentor system, or how the powers of heroes sort of possess your character in the Breakers. More importantly, Age 1000 is the same age as Dragon Ball Online. That was an MMORPG, only released in Taiwan and Korea, with involvement from Akira Toriyama. A lot of the concepts for that game were reused for Xenoverse and Heroes. I do think this will be something of an updated version of that future lore, which is over 200 years after Goku leaves with Oob in the original manga. The game's lore had plenty of tales past the end of the story for our heroes, like Majin Buu having a wife and creating the Majin race, Vegeta and Goku leaving to have a final battle, Gohan writing a book on ki control, Goten and Trunks starting a sword fighting school, and the remnants of the Frieza Force attacking Earth after Mr. Satan's death. Obviously, in that, you can create your own character, but the fact that this guy was designed by Toriyama makes me think that you won't get to just create him like in Xenoverse, but you'll probably get some customization options. I just wonder what type of game this is gonna be. I'm thinking it could be something like a hack and slash or like a Genshin type, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm excited. It's looking like a completely original story. I remember when all we used to get was games covering the Dragon Ball story over and over again. Those days are long gone. We'll find out more at the Dragon Ball Games Battle Hour. The final big thing that was announced was a full-on acceleration for Sparking Zero. For me, the craziest thing was Hironobu Kageyama returning to Dragon Ball after 18 years. He was the singer of almost every Dragon Ball game opening until Raging Blast 2. and more importantly, Chala He Chala, We Got a Power, and more. His nickname was literally Mr. DBZ, but he ended up leaving for unknown reasons. I have some ideas as to why, but that's a video for another time. Now he's back, and created a brand new rocking song as the opening for the game, to go along with new DLC. It does kinda make it seem like the game should have been in the oven for like 1 or 2 more years though, since all of this stuff should have been here in the first place. But I'm just glad it's getting the love it deserves. I do really like Sparking Zero. The trailer opened by showing us new Team Ultimates, with Vegeta and Goku vs Broly as a new feature. Then there's new characters. They're easy to miss, but we see Super Saiyan Bardock, Demon King Piccolo, Super 17, Devilman, Grandpa Gohan, Champa, Tao Pai Pai, Zangia, and Paikon. This isn't everyone from Tenkaichi 3, but we are getting there. We're still missing Chi-Chi, Tambourine, Fasha, and King Vegeta, for example. But this really is a nice set of characters. I'm especially excited for Piccolo and Bardock. They also announced new costumes, like Gohan's turtle gi from the BoJack movie. This was probably the biggest request for the game. There's also new super attacks like Goku and Vegeta's combined Final Flash Kamehameha from the Broly movie, new stages like Hame House, and a new mode, though I have no idea what this could be. All we see is a map of Earth, with some locations showing Roshi, Vegeta, Cell, and more. I doubt this is gonna be a mode where you fly around like Tenkaichi 2, but it's looking like we're finally getting some good single-player content, which the game was sorely missing. A video of the showcase after the trailer explained that this is just part of the DLC, and that the main focus will not be characters, but enriching the Dragon Ball experience, with a specific focus on giving us more single-player content. They showed a content roadmap, where Mission 100 will be available on January 26th for free. That's tomorrow. This was a mode that was already in Tenkaichi 3. They'll also be adding a survival mode in spring, and the new DLC will come in summer. The Switch version of the game will get the DLC that's already available through the year. But that's pretty much the Genkidamatsuri. It was a ton of fun. What makes it even crazier is realizing how many of us have grown up during the waiting. Dragon Ball Super began over a decade ago, and a whole generation discovered Dragon Ball through Super. And now that same generation gets to be here when it truly continues. It feels like we're standing at the start of something big again. Dragon Ball isn't slowing down anytime soon. We'll be breaking down everything we learned in way more detail as more information drops. So make sure you're subscribed if you don't want to miss any of it. Let me know in the comments what announcement you're most excited about. The Moro anime, the Super Remaster, Age 1000, or the new Sparking Zero DLC, because 2026 is already shaping up to be absolutely insane for Dragon Ball. Don't forget to Dragon Fist the subscribe button. And if you're looking for more deep dives into Dragon Ball, check out my video explaining Akira Toriyama's original vision for Dragon Ball Super.